Cue the applause right now. Okay. Applause. Woohoo! Woo! Look at me. I'm wearing my Let's Read Stephen King books. You read the title of this video, so you know today we're talking about my favorite horror reads just in time for spooky season. It's back. It's better than ever. It got cold in August. We love to hear it. Book Yaps with Ash. Alright, hi, welcome back to Book Yaps with Ash. I'm Ash. These are my books. And I'm yapping about horror books today. I've picked 7 off of the shelves in my home, and I've declared them to be my favorite horror books of today. This list could change tomorrow, but as of today, these were the books that scared me the most, that I found the best, and that I enjoyed reading the most. So these are my horror book recommendations, and I like this stack. This is a good stack. It's not a list that you would really see or that I've seen in videos before. I think it's pretty unique. So let's get into it. Okay, in order from smallest in size of book to largest, because they're stacked in a nice little pile. So number 1 here, we've got a couple Stephen Kings on the list. You'll just see which one. So the first one is Salem's Lot. And this is a pretty classic Stephen King horror. It was his, second or third book that he wrote. It's a vampire story. It has ties to the Dark Tower series. I think it's been called out in other books. It's a classic. It's frightening. I think of all the Stephen King books I've read it. I've read another one on this list I'm going to talk about. I've read Pet Sematary. I've read quite a few Stephen King. This one scared me the most, and I'm not really sure why, but I found myself reading this before bed and having nightmares about vampires, and I had to wake up Storm and say, I'm scared. So, if that's not the sign of a good horror book, I don't know what it is. But basically, if you don't know, Salem's Lot is about a town called Jerusalem's Lot. These people purchase an old house up on the hill, and, well, they're not people. It's a vampire, and he slowly starts turning the whole town into vampires because he needs to feed. And you've got a good cast of characters in this book who know that something weird is going on and are trying to stop it, while the rest of the town is in denial that this is happening. If you like the show Midnight Mass, a Mike Flanagan show, it feels very similar to this, only I found Midnight Mass, I didn't love it. I liked this more. So if you liked that show, you'll probably really like the concept and this story. Yeah, I found this to be really frightening and just a good classic vampire story. So there you go. Salem's Lot, number 1. Number 2, and I never see people talking about this book ever. I feel like no one's seeing it on the shelf. I don't know. I loved it so much. This is Mr. Magic by Kirsten White. This is a book about a group of adults who, when they were kids, were on this TV show called Mr. Magic. But the thing about the show is that it doesn't exist anywhere. It's not online. You can't find it in archives. You can't find it in libraries. It doesn't exist, aside from being in everybody's memory. Every adult is yeah, I remember watching Mr. Magic. It exists, but physically or digitally, there's no record of it. So they're doing an anniversary podcast, essentially, calling back the cast of this show as adults. So you've got an ensemble cast here as well. And they come back to this house and record the podcast, but then weird, freaky stuff starts happening, and you start to kind of understand what the show really was. This was just frightening. It had a great cast of characters. The pacing was great, and it was kind of rooted in nostalgia with the kids show theme, and freaky, just very freaky. So if you're looking for something shorter and more of a unique horror concept, this is awesome. I really can't recommend it enough. The ensemble cast really reminded me of it. Though it was a lot shorter. And yeah, I just thought it was great. It was great. It was unique. It was freaky. It was weird. It was uneasy. All the things you're looking for in a good horror book, right? Okay. Next, I just talked about this book in my last video, or the one before that. Depends when this is out. But I'm going to talk about it again, and I'll probably talk about it in another video, and I'll talk about it in a year because it should be talked about, and that is Chuck Tingle's Bury Your Gaze. I'm not going to get into why the audiobook is something that you should consider. You can go watch the video where I talk about that, but this was a freaky book. It's about a screenwriter who's told he needs to kill off his gay characters, and he writes horror, so he's written these scary villains, and those villains start haunting him when he disagrees and doesn't want to kill off his gay characters. And it's scary, it's unpredictable, it's unique. I feel like it's like a modern horror. If you like Black Mirror, you will like this one. And yeah, Chuck Tingle's a weird dude, but boy can he write a good book. So yeah, this one is one of my favorites I've read this year. Great audiobook, like I said, and scary. Definitely some scenes that I still vividly can picture. One specifically on a plane. On the flip side, so that book I just read a couple months ago. This one I read in 2020. So I don't actually remember a lot of the details. I don't remember a lot of the details of the books I read in January. But what I do remember of this one, this is Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. Is that his name? Is that how you say it? Stephen Chbosky. The one who wrote the world's tiniest book, Perks Being a Wallflower. Yeah, his second book is this 700-page massive beast of a horror story. Like I said, read this 5+ years ago, and I still think about it all the time. So basically this story is a boy and his mom move to a small town. His mom is escaping the boy's dad, who's abusive and just wants to start over in this town. He disappears into the woods for like 6 days or something. And he comes out, he's unscratched, but he's acting weird. He hears this voice in his head who's saying he has to build a treehouse in the forest. And so his goal is, he's young. So his goal is to kind of sneak off and get this treehouse built. But there's just like some weird stuff that's going on. He knows he has to do it, otherwise the town will never be the same. He's doing it to protect his mom. And I remember there being some sort of biblical connection or metaphor to it that was really interesting. I'm not religious, so yeah. But yeah, I found this to be huge book, of course, but so good. I don't feel like it was too long. I feel like the climax was 300 pages. It just was going and going and going. But yeah, I really liked this one. Very different from Perks Being a Wallflower, but definitely very scary from what I can remember. And yeah, really good. Just one of those books that I've read years ago and I still think about. I'd love to reread it, but damn the commitment. Next is We Used to Live Here. This book was published last year and I ate it up. And I also had nightmares about it. I couldn't actually focus on anything else in my life while I was reading this book because it was so insane. So the concept of this book is this queer couple moves into a house. They're unpacking and this family knocks on the door and the dad's like, "Hey, we used to live here. Can we come in and see the house? Can I show my kids where I grew up?" And the one who answers the door, she's like, "I don't want to let them in," but she doesn't know how to say no, so she lets them in, and pretty much they don't leave. And things get really weird. You don't know what's real, you don't know what's not, you don't know what's a hallucination, you don't know why they're there. There's also little clues throughout the book at the in between chapters that's really interesting. So you're just trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And yeah, it was just it was frustrating, it was claustrophobic, it was uncomfortable, it made me anxious. So not your classic horror of there's a ghost or a monster, but more of the psychological horror, this eerie feeling of loss of control, which is something I fear in my regular life. So this one was really good. I feel like I haven't read a book that has consumed me in the way that book consumed me. All right. Last two. This one is my favorite Grady Hendrix book, and that is How to Sell a Haunted House. This is Haunted Puppets. Okay, if you're not sold on haunted puppets, basically, you've got this estranged brother and sister. Their parents have died, and so they've left them this house that they need to figure out what to do with it. I think the brother wants to keep it, the sister wants to sell it and be rid of it. And the dolls that their mom collected are haunting the house. So weird shit's going down. This is gory. Another book with one scene that I will not forget and lives in my brain rent free. Very gory. But also I almost cried at the end of this book. It had an ending that kind of tore your heart out a bit, which I didn't expect from a book about haunted puppets, but loved it. Loved the scariness of it. Loved the dynamic between the brother and the sister. Loved the gore. Grady Hendrix is gross and shall never change. So, yeah, How to Sell a Haunted House. That's a great one, too. And finally, another Stephen King book. I know you've been waiting for it. You've been saying, oh my god, where's the Stephen King book? I want to see what the other one is. It's Misery. So this is the one for the gore lovers. If you don't love gore or like it, don't read this one. But if you're okay with it and you find it kind of fun, like I do, this one was yucky. It was obviously. So if you don't know Misery, Paul Sheldon is a writer. He is driving in a storm and crashes his car, and his biggest fan, Annie Wilkes, finds him, saves him, but takes him to her house, and nobody knows he's there, and she finds a manuscript in his car that he was about to deliver where he was going to be killing off her favorite character. And so that pisses her off, and she does vile things to him and forces him to rewrite that story and unkill off the character. Misery is her name. And when he upsets her, she does bad things to him. And I think, like, as the Stephen King community goes, most people find her to be the scariest or one of the scariest villains out of all 9,000 books he's written. So, also, what a huge photo to put on the back of the book. Yeah, so Misery is great. I found it actually, like, when I was reading it, it seems like it had a slower start, but I was just reading it slowly, I think. It really picked up about a third of the way in. And again, some scenes you don't forget. The one that I love has a cake in it. So, if you read it and you know what I'm talking about, yeah, I love the cake scene. A lot of people don't like the cake scene, but I loved the cake scene. Gore. There's gore in that one. Okay, so yeah, those are probably my current favorite horror books that I've read, that I own in my house. And if you have any recommendations for ones that are similar to what I just showed you, please let me know, because I want some weird, freaky, claustrophobic, or gory, or whatever books to read this spooky season. Actually, don't tell me, because I have to read all of these books at some point. My physical TBR hates to see me come home from the bookstore. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching this episode of Book Yaps with Ash, and see you next time I do one. Okay, cue the applause. Cue the applause. Good night. That was good.